How to use Todoist with Notion for task management. Hello. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how can you integrate your Todoist with Notion. So the idea is this. When you add a task in your Todoist project, it will automatically be forwarded to your Notion database here. So for example, if I add a task here in my home project, it will be forwarded to my Notion page here, my task list page here. And it's very powerful because imagine if you use Todoist as your day-to-day task manager app, when you add your tasks, you can go to your Notion to add more details about your task of your Todoist there that you can normally add in your Todoist. So for example, you can add files, you can add pretty project management if it's a longer term task. If it's a video, you can add. You can also add your collaborator if it's a group project, and etc. So the potential here is pretty endless. So to help us in achieving such automation, we will use Zapier here. So Zapier is an app that you can use to link your Todoist with Notion. So Zapier actually has already partnered with Todoist and Notion, so you don't have to worry if it's a shady third-party app. It really is pretty legit and very helpful for me. Okay, so to start here, let's add a Zap here. So let's go over to our Zapier menu here and click create Zap. Now, the fun thing about Zapier is that you can use AI to explain what you want to do, and Zapier will recognize it and automatically create a Zap to complete the task that you've described. So, for example, here we want to automatically add Notion database item from a Todoist task. So let's click generate when we're done. It's very natural, and Zapier can recognize what you want in almost an instant. Okay, so here. So it has already an existing Zap template that we can use here. Step one, it will recognize new incomplete task in Todoist. And step two, it will create database item according to your new incomplete task in Todoist. Okay, so let's try this Zap here. Okay, as you can see, the first bubble here is the trigger, which is your Todoist. And the second bubble here is the Notion, which is the action of your Zapier. Okay, so let's first link both our Todoist app and our Notion app. Okay, so in this case, I've already added my Todoist account to Zapier. But if you haven't, you go to this account tab here and you click connect to a new account. It will take you to Todoist and it will automatically link your Todoist with Zapier. Okay. Next, you click continue if you have done it, and then you go to project to choose which project in your Todoist that you want Zapier to monitor and to forward the task there to your Notion database. So in my case here, I'm just going to add my home project, and let's click continue. And then when you've added your project that you want to be monitored in from Zapier, let's click test trigger here to test the connection between Zapier and Todoist. So as you can see here, it is successful. So that means Todoist is now talking with our Zapier here. Okay, so let's click continue with selected record. All right, same thing here. We also need to link our Notion account to Zapier. So let's click choose. I'll use my Notion account here. So in my case, I've already added my Notion account to Zapier, but if you haven't, you click connect to a new account here and you choose your page that you want to be monitored. So same thing here, choose your account over here, click select pages and choose which page that you want Zapier to monitor in your Notion uh, task. So for example, I'm gonna use task list here because it contains the database that I want Zapier to forward my Todoist task to. Okay, so let's click task list and click allow access. And okay, so one more thing here for Notion is that I found that it doesn't instantly connect your Notion to Zapier. So let's double check here by going to your Notion app or your Notion in website. Doesn't matter. Click settings and members and go to my connections here. Now you should make sure that Zapier is listed in your connections menu here, connections list. If it's not, then go over to this browse connections in gallery link here and go, and it will take you to the Notion website here. And you scroll all the way down to Zapier, or alternatively, just find Zapier in the website here. So as you can see here, it is quite on the bottom of the list, and you can click it so that it will appear in your My Connections list in Notion. So next step is we make sure that Zapier can actually access our page that we want the database to be added automatically in. Okay, so let's go over to this burger menu on the rightmost of Zapier connection here and just make sure that it is checked. And once you've checked your page that you want the database to be in, click update access. And very important here, I find it pretty annoying, but once you're done adding your page to Zapier, click anywhere in the menu so that it will confirm, just like so. All right, once that's done, and both Todoist and Notion is linked to your Zapier, let's go ahead and click continue in our Zapier Zap Edit menu here. Click continue. Now on the Actions tab, you will choose which database that you want your Todoist task to be forwarded to in Notion. So in this case, let's click Task List. Let's choose Task List. Now a common problem that I found myself to be in previously is that I cannot see my database in Zapier. That happens because, truth be told, Zapier hasn't been able to access the pages that we have previously in this Notion here. So let's just make sure that your page that contains your database in is checked in the My Connections list here. Very important. All right, anyway, now once we've chosen our database, let's choose which content that we want the task to be forwarded to. So you can add your content, your notes, your labels, your date edit, your due date, your ID, priority, and so on and so forth. So you can pretty much add any um, property in your Todoist task to your Notion. Of course, with a um, corresponding item property in your Notion. So, for example, if you want to add your deadline, you should also add a deadline um, property here, just to make sure. Okay. For simplicity, I won't add anything other than the content of the Todoist task in this case. Okay, so let's go ahead and click content here because I do want the task content to be forwarded to Notion. You can also add content as the Notion database item content. So for example, if you want to add like this task is forwarded from Todoist, you can do that or other things. You can also add the Todoist data property as your content. So good to know. All right, you can also choose your content format. You can either plain text or markdown or customize it. All right. And then when you're done, click continue. And we need to test this step here to make sure the connection between Zapier and Notion is established. So let's go ahead and do that. Click test step and let's wait for it to test. And as you can see here, our task, our list of to-dos here is already checked. So we're ready to publish this Zap here. Zap is pretty much an automation steps in your Zapier account. So let's click publish and we should be live in any minute. Okay, so it's done. All right. Okay, so the next step is just for us to test this connection here, if it's working or not. Okay, so when your Zap here is on, it should work and work pretty beautifully. So let's go ahead and go to our Todoist here, to our home project. This is the project that Zapier monitors. Add task in that project. So for example, let's say this task is, I will appear in Notion, exclamation mark. Click add task. Okay, so once you've added a task in your Todoist here, it will appear on your designated Notion database. Now, one thing to note here is that it does take a minute or two for Zapier to forward your task from Todoist to Notion. So just make sure you don't go directly to Notion just seconds after you add your task to Todoist. Otherwise, it's pretty helpful and it's pretty neat. So at this point, while we wait for the task list to be populated, oh, there you go. All right. Speak of the devil. Okay. Now, as you can see, it is populated automatically by Zapier from your Todoist task. So we've confirmed that this does work, and that concludes the video. Thank you. I hope you find this helpful.